Hey there, colleague. Dave Stewart Jr. here. Want to talk to you today about pop-up debates, something that I've written extensively about in the life of my blog, but really haven't made any YouTube videos about and really haven't written much about since the publishing of my book, These Six Things. We're looking at a page in These Six Things right now. This is page 115 in the chapter on argument. And I just wanted to resurface it with you because in the 23-24 school year, it's something that I'm resurfacing for myself. Very end of last school year, I started to realize I hadn't been doing many pop-up debates, and so I just began to try them with my classes again, and like with a every 2 week or so cadence. And the kids really skyrocketed in their enjoyment of these. They began to request them. They said things at the end of the year like, "You've got to start pop-up debates sooner." They helped me to understand material more. So just kind of reawakened me to the power of this method, the things that are possible with this very simple regular practice in the classroom. And I want to say hyper efficient because in the 20 to 30 minutes, I mean, very rarely 30 minutes, more like 20 in a class of 32 kids. There's student motivation gains all across the 5 key belief pyramid, and there are content deepening understanding gains. There's really great student engagement possibilities with pop debate, and there's just like I think phenomenal. I don't know, make you a better person gains. Better person in the sense of I'm afraid of a thing, but I can learn it, practice it, and become better at it because nearly all of my students are at least a little bit afraid of public speaking. So let me just explain in this video what pop-up debates is and what I did yesterday with my class when I did the first pop-up debate with them of the school year. So for those watching later, this is September 13th, 2023, and we're about in week 4 of the school year. We just had our first pop-up debate, which is super normal. Okay, pop-up debate summarized right here on the screen. Very, very simple on its surface. When we have a pop-up debate, every student has to participate at least one time. And to participate, they simply stand up and they speak on prompt. Whatever the prompt is for the pop-up debate, their job is to respond to that prompt. And as we go on, they can start to respond to the prompt by responding to what someone else has said or adding on to what someone else has said. We're not there yet in this school year, so I'm not going to go there yet in this video, like the more advanced things that you can do with pop-up debate. But really, what I just said, that is the strategy. And yesterday with my students, I had them do, I had them respond to the prompt in writing. They didn't know that we were going to do a pop-up debate, by the way. They'd never heard a pop-up debate. So then respond to the prompt in writing, and I had them share their response to their partner, and then I introduced basically this poster right here. Okay, so what was our prompt yesterday? It was which key concept is more important to world history? And it was basically the key thematic concept of Unit 1, states, and the key thematic concept of Unit 2, networks of exchange. And they've just completed their Unit 1 assessment, so we've been on that journey, and they've just begun last night, or sorry, the night before the pop debate was the first night that they encountered anything having to do with trade networks, and then in class for the first part of class, first time that I've really talked to them about trade networks. And so they're taking this new idea that seems really interesting and connected to our previous unit, and they're just saying which is more important to world history. So wide open, pretty vague. Had them write in response to that, then I had them practice with a partner, and then I introduced the debate. So why do you do that? Do that because you're requiring mandatory speaking. And I think one thing that's very important with mandatory speaking is every student has the right to be prepared. Okay? And so think pair, which is what I'm doing with the writing and the sharing with the partner. That is ensuring that every student has had that opportunity to be prepared. And I can circulate around and I can look and I can see if anyone's really disengaged during the writing or during the speaking. I can check in with them, try to understand what's going on because I want everyone to have a chance to truly be prepared. Okay, so then I introduce the debate and I basically tell them this. All that you need to do today is to stand up and respond to the prompt. If you want, you can literally stand up, look at your paper the entire time, and read off of it. That is completely fine. That's acceptable. But if you want to, just talk off the top of your head, if you want to explain yourself in depth, you can do that as well. Okay. And I also tell them if there's a lull in the participation, I will just start to call on people. So during pop debate, I've got my clipboard, and I kind of look like a, like a maybe a coach or a clinician. I'm really trying to not be the focal point of attention during pop debate for sure, because I want to signal right from the get go. These are about us having conversation. This is not about telling the teacher your answer to a prompt all in a row, because that's really boring. So I mean, seriously, as soon as there's a 10-second lull, I'm just calling on students and I'm checking them off as they go. And then when we get to the end, I'll say, open floor. Does anyone else want to speak? Which yesterday, in the 2 classes I did this with, no one wanted to speak more, and we ended. Okay. Once in a while, I would address things like one of my classes, we got a little bit of crosstalk, and I just right in the moment said, "Hey, very important pop debate. There's no crosstalk at all. When you stand up, you have the floor. When you sit down, you lose the floor. So outside of that, should be no crosstalk." Once in a while, I had to ask a student or two to maybe speak a bit louder. And that's really it. So that's it for the debate. Now, the post-debate work is, I think, where a ton of the power is, at least in my practice of pop debate. Because in the post-debate work, I ask them a couple questions. So it's first pop debate of the year. I love to ask this. This is a must. I actually write about this in my new book on student motivation. At the end of the book, there's a strategy called normalize struggle. And this is an example that I give. So I ask all the students, okay, if you felt at least 1% nervous or freaked out to stand up in the debate that we just had, go ahead and raise your hand. And then I say, all right, look around. This is the normal experience with public speaking. It's normal to be nervous, trepidatious, afraid. That is not the freak situation. But oftentimes with nervousness, you feel like you're the only one who's afraid. You feel very alone. So I want you guys to understand, lock this image in your mind of all your peers with their hands up. That is who you're with. That is who you're doing this with. You're doing this with a group of people who are having to work through nerves. My goal with Papa Debate this year is to help you to not necessarily get rid of your nerves. I still have nerves before I speak publicly. I'm not trying to help you get rid of your nerves, guys, per se, but I'm trying to help you to experience the reality that you can have nerves with the situation, but still have practiced so much that you know what to do with them, that you know that they will not disable you from being able to achieve your objective. So that's a really key thing right after. And then the other key thing right after that we did is I had them share what was something that we did well as a class and what was something that we could do better. Something we did well, something we could do better. For the first of my 2 hours, I had them actually write in response to this because we had more time. And for the second of my 2 hours, I just had them share out to me, and we discussed. But the types of things that they said is, what did we do well? A lot of us, well, in both classes, someone said we all spoke. Agree. It's a huge thing to speak publicly in front of your peers, stand up in front of them. Agree, guys. Great. Someone said many of us spoke without being called on. I said, yeah, that's great. There's no problem if I have to call on you. That's fine. But certainly is. It adds a little dynamism to the debate when we're just standing up spontaneously of our own volition. What else did they say? We all explained our answer, and I had given them a template. Blank was more important because blank. Like I'd given them a template, so the explanation was kind of built into the writing portion, the pre-debate writing that we did. But it's true, they all did explain, and that is good. So these are the types of things they said that they did well. And then what can we do better on? A lot of us were repetitive. A lot of us were just talking to you. A lot of us were difficult to hear. And what I said to them is, great. And I'm writing these things down, and I'm saying these are the things that we're going to work on as we continue to do Papa Debates across the school year. And so what I will do at our next Papa Debate, which I don't know, I might even do it on Friday. I might just keep the ball rolling, like with that much speed, because there's a prompt coming up that I think will work well. But what we'll do is do a little mini lesson before each debate, and I'll start to give feedback to the students live during the debate. Just short little pieces of feedback in front of the whole class that will teach them how to get better at these things that they've identified. So yeah, I'll just say a couple of other things. The reason that I do the first Papa Debate in the fourth week of school is because in the first 3 weeks of school, I'm being very intentional about think, pair, share. So just like I said earlier, think is typically writing, pair is always with your partner, and then share is you're speaking for the whole class to hear. In this case, you're not standing up, you're just raising your hand or being randomly called on. What I'm being intentional about in the first 3 weeks of the school year is I don't have it with me here, but I've got their seating chart printed out with their faces, and I take a big old Sharpie and I put a dot on every face when they talk for the whole class to hear during share mode. And my goal by the end of each week is I want a dot, at least one dot on every single face. And what this assures me of is that by the time we get to Papa Debate, we have had every student in the class experience the reality that you can speak in front of the whole class here. It's not a big, dangerous thing. And for my students who are like almost paralyzed with their anxiety, which there's always a handful in every class nowadays, that's very important for them. It's very important to them to know, yes, Mr. Stewart's going to expect you to talk, but he's never going to do like a gotcha. He's always going to have your back. He's always going to be, protecting the space. He's always going to be, if your answer needs a little help, he's going to provide he's going to facilitate. He's going to, my students have seen me by this time. If someone's really struggling with an answer, I'll find a way to weave in someone else's help or something like this. So they just know, like, the teacher's not going to leave you to drown if you're drowning. In fact, it reminds me, yesterday in my second class, the last student who stood up, he stood up and he really tried to go for it. He didn't have his notes. He had a long explanation, but about 40 seconds into his speech, he forgot what he was saying. And so he was kind of struggling. And I had taught the kids, if you want to applaud what anyone's doing in Papa Debate, you can just snap. We'll just snap. And it's kind of fun, and they were kind of having fun with it. But all of a sudden, as Sammy starts to struggle here, we just start to all snap. And I really wanted that young person to know, like, you went for it and you dropped the ball, but like, it's still awesome, because that is a prime moment right there where you learn, I can even drop the ball. I can go for it and drop the ball, and I'm still going to be fine. Like, no one is sitting there obsessing over the fact that I forgot what I was saying. That's not a thing that people think about. So if you have any questions, just put them in the comments of the video. If this is helpful, please let me know. Like, click the like button or whatever. Please, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, do it, because that just like helps the YouTube algorithm recommend these to other people. And really, my purpose in sharing these is I want your Papa Debates to be even more successful. I want your if you're not doing Papa Debates, to maybe just plant some seeds that you try them this year, because it's shocking how, like I said earlier, efficient this can be in achieving all kinds of objectives that we have as teachers. All right, I'll see you next time. I'll let you know how the next debate goes. Until then, take care.